Okay, we want to start with the book of Ruth, the book of Ruth. It's not often people discuss about this book or the story behind the book. It is a book that is highly instructive in the sense that it provides key to the truth we are pursuing, and it helps us to learn about what life is, particularly in the time of. In a summary, here was a woman, Ruth herself, because she's named after the book, Ruth. The author of the book, we don't know. All we hear is that this is the book of Ruth. Ruth it is not known. Bible didn't tell us. So the book was given to the woman because she played the active part. There are 4 persons really that played very solid active part in the book. We have Naomi, the mother-in-law. We have the husband, who the Bible called Abimelech. We have the woman called Ruth, and there was this lady that was also married into the house of Naomi that we are told, and that was Orpah. So the 2 ladies, Ruth and Orpah, were married, 2 sons of Naomi and the husband. Unfortunately, after the husband died, was when they were in the land of Moab. The woman got news because the reason they went to Moab was famine that was in the land of Judah. That particular time was when Israel had no king, so to speak. It was judges that were, administering or governing the affairs of the people. Help them, teach them the way of Yahweh, align them to follow the covenant. And a little while they will depart and there'll be trouble. So that was one of the occasions when the people had departed from Yahweh, so to speak. Because for a famine to come into the land, or war to come into the land, or for the people to suffer pestilences or disease, then when you look inward spiritually, Yahweh had stepped aside. In such a situation, Yahweh had stepped. That means the people have provoked Yahweh to walk away from them, and that trouble will set in. So at this particular time, there was famine in the land of Judah, particularly Bethlehem, where Naomi and the husband came from. They had to journey to the land of Moab. We know Moab. Moab and Ammon were the 2 sons of Lot. And we know how those children were born or how they came on board. So the woman now got information after the husband died and the 2 sons died oh, the land of Judah has been blessed again by Yahweh, and the land is doing well. I said, what am I doing in this land? Yahweh had forgotten me. Yahweh has abandoned me. Yahweh has made me bitter. Let me go back to my land. Where she wanted to go, she called the two daughter-in-laws, said, well, what has happened has happened. Your husbands are dead. I can't give you a son again to marry any of you. So you can go back to your mother, you can go back to your father. Return back to your land of Moab. Remain here in the land of Moab. Worship your idol. I go my hometown, Judah, Bethlehem. The woman, as the woman wanted to go, after admonishing both her daughter-in-laws, Opa decided to go, and Ruth said, no, I won't go. Wherever you are going will be my home. My Yahweh will be my Yahweh. So I'm tied to you already. But Naomi said, I don't have a son to give you. And even if I'm to marry and let the baby come and become adult, at my age, that wouldn't be possible. But Ruth said what she said, that where you die, I will die. Yahweh will be my Yahweh. So I will go with you. Now, what does that tell us in this place? What we ought to learn or know on the attitude of this lady is somebody who is very, very faithful, very, very loyal. I'm talking about the story of Ruth. We talk about a lady that, first of all, let us see love. Ruth has love only because of the son, the mother of the son she married. We also had love with her. And we see loyalty here. We see loyalty, we see here faith. When she said, I will die, I will die. What we eat, I will eat. Your people will be my people. And more so, where Yahweh will be my Yahweh. Whatever you worship is going to be what I worship. Because where she nailed her interests, the type of personality, the type of character was where she brought it into limelight. You can see that these three characters here, love, loyalty, faith, are very, very strong to any man or any woman. If we have it and cleave, particularly to our Creator, there's nothing we seek from Him we cannot get. Because these are overriding factors or characteristics any individual can possess, and he will or she will remain strong. No matter how the wind or storm will come against individuals, if you have love of the character, if you are loyal to an individual, if you are faithful, particularly tying these to whoever that you are following. Whether your husband or your mentor or your creator, in this case, our Father in heaven, then the person will go a long way, to achieve whatever goal. She had a goal in her heart, unseen goal, a goal that only her, will appropriate as time goes on. But it wasn't revealed to her. something in her was moving her. Do not go back to her. Do not go back to your fathers. Follow this woman. The other lady that hasn't got any goal, no spiritual aspiration in terms of the Yahweh that Naomi served, to follow that Yahweh. This woman is like she had the spiritual eyes, though she was not seeing what she was believing in. She will come out with what the Yahweh, the spirit of Yahweh directing her, wanted her to be. She will come out to, realization of that sooner or later. I want to see it here that through this woman, um, the one we call David in the Bible, David that loved Yahweh, and Yahweh says, David is a man after my own heart. So we see that through this woman, David came on board. David had a lineage through this woman. The father of David was called Jesse. Jesse had a father called Obed. We're going to see something like this. Jesse, David, see David, we see Joshua. Now, who is Ruth? Ruth here is a foreign woman, a foreigner. And Israelites shared themselves into tribes, and the tribes has manifested into nationalities. So she is offshoot of Moab, a foreigner. And she became in law Israelites. 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 Came in love with Israelites from the tribe of Judah. Tribe of Judah. From the clan from Bethlehem. There's another small tribe from Bethlehem where she comes from. So she has followed what one will call the way of Yahweh. This is a root. The root is the way. So that we lead her and her descendants to honor of our land. Savior. So who is the you will see that the architect of this not so much mentioned from or within the scriptures we are about to read. The architect of this is Yahshua, Yahweh himself. But you hardly read the name Yahweh along the line. Occasionally, you get that from the mouth of Rami. You hear her talk about them also often. So it's a very interesting book, about 4 chapters, but it contains so much. Contains so much. The events in the route took place around 1100 BC. During the period of the Judges, whereas the book of Judges records violent, momentous events, which shows a peaceful, ordinary side of life at the time. So you have the book of Judges. Immediately after the book of Judges, you enter the book of Ruth. That is to show that what was playing out in Judges became the experience we read from the book of Ruth. It wasn't a nice story when Naomi and the husband left the land of Bethlehem. The people had left Yahweh, and the famine had entered the land. So they were looking for a greener pasture. This man had to take the family away from the land of Bethlehem. Yeah, and went to Moab, Moab, the land of idol. Moab worship idol. Brother Ammon worship idol. Going out there, you see Esau. Esau worship idol and all that. So when you look at them, they are not from the lineage of Abraham. They was nephew to Abraham. So somehow they are not within the same lineage, so to speak. So they may be coming from, traceable from the same root, Terah and so on. But then you find out that the seed, in terms of root now, talking about the person, the root, the seed, because at the end of the day, we are looking at this, where this seed comes. Now, what will come to us as we go along is that this woman is a foreigner. That a foreigner will enter into the land of Gia, get a man, marry a man there, and through that relationship, the seed promised to Abraham, the seed promised to Abraham, come into the world. A foreigner, and a foreigner gain access in the midst of the children of Yahweh. Can a foreigner come in and take a place? So the answer is yes. Even in the Old Testament, even in the time of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, or Israel, it's possible. And Yahweh made it clear in the book of Isaiah 56 that it is possible, provided you come with that loyalty to keeping the law. Provided you offer yourself to keeping the law. And you can see that this woman stepped in, telling Naomi, Yahweh will be my Yahweh, your law will be my Yahweh, my law, your people will be my people. I mean, exemplary law to a foreign nation. married the character she mustered. She had a good character. And Yahweh kept her for a man who had a good character. He had a good character. His people knew him. When he had first encounter in the farm of Boaz, Tamar told Naomi about it. He's a redeemer. He's Yahweh sent in the family, in the clan. So Naomi prevailed to look at that man. And at the end of the day, entered, and before he knew it, there was marriage consummation. But then let us look at from the scriptures. The scripture itself direct us. Let us know what's inspired. In a summary, I will read a summary here before we go on. When famine came to Bethlehem, remember Bethlehem is in Judea. Elimelech, that is the husband of Moab. I'm sorry, Naomi. Elimelech moved his wife Naomi and their two sons to Moab. That was that journey. The sons married Moabite women, the two sons. Each one got a Moabite woman. Then Elimelech and the young men died, leaving Naomi destitute, without husband, a widow. The famine ended. That is in the land of Judah. The famine that was happening ended. So Naomi decided to return home. Ruth, one of Naomi's Moabite daughters-in-law, declared her loyalty to Naomi. The two of them set out together and arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the spring barley harvest. So it was during the time they were harvesting barley. Barley was one of the staple food in Israel then. To obtain food for the coming year. So they had to, because towards by this time during spring period, at the time they returned, that was spring period, that was when they do the harvesting of barley. They have to get themselves into the farm and scavenge whatever they can gather from the farm. Because in Israel, if you are a farmer, you don't pluck or remove everything that you have from the farm. As you do, leave some for, poor people, peasant people who may not have anything they can eat. When they wander into the farm, they get something to eat. It's allowed. But the law allows that. That was what happened when Ruth stumbled into was a farm. And let me continue with that summary. Ruth, one of Naomi's Moabite daughter-in-law, declared her loyalty to Naomi. The two of them set out together and arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the spring barley harvest. To obtain food for the coming year, Ruth went out to glean. Beginning in Boaz's field, Ruth went out to the mother-in-law, let me go and see what I can gather, barley I can gather for us to keep and to have as our food as well. When he learned who she was, that is Boaz, Boaz instructed his workers to be generous. We are told that Boaz was a renowned man in Bethlehem then. He had a big farm and had workers that worked for him. Hearing of Boaz's kindness, Naomi sent Ruth to the threshing floor one night to meet him privately. Asked Boaz to act as family redeemer by marrying her. Boaz knew that a closer relative had the first right to act as family redeemer, but Boaz promised to do so if that man refused. So through their interaction, through their talking and so on and so forth, Ruth led Boaz to understand that she's not married. Maybe the husband died and all that and all that. So Boaz, knowing the lady very well, that is, knowing the lady from where because she has told Boaz where she came from Naomi, and they were close, as family relatives, so to speak. Boaz was a relative of the husband, Elimelech. So now the man said, in the family you come from, in that Naomi's family, Elimelech's family, there will be somebody from that family, immediate member of the family, that can do that can take you as wife. If there is none at the end of the day, or no one step in to take you as wife, then he will come to fulfill that obligation. So that was set in motion. At the end of the day, I think it worked out between her and Boaz. He went to the town gate, and arranged the matter so that the first man would decline. So Boaz married Ruth, who bore a son named Obed. We said here is the son, the fed to Boaz. Having a grandson guaranteed Noah's security in old age and brought back what she thought she had lost forever. When Naomi came back, she came back without husband, without the two children. That means she had no place in Israel, so to speak. She may not earn any property or any inheritance. So Elimelech may have his own farm, his own land and all that, but who will inherit it? Without a son, the woman may lose everything. So when Obed was born, she rejoiced that Yahweh has again visited her and blessed her. Even at that age, she can assure her that she reassured herself that she had a place now in the land of Israel. She can beat her chest and say, I belong to Israel, I belong to Judah, I'm a member of a family of Bethlehem. He went to the town and arranged. Having a grandson guaranteed Rami's security in old age and brought back what she thought she had lost forever. Obed became the grandfather of David, Israel's first great king. Book of Ruth ends with a genealogy of 10 generations, from Perez, the son of Judah, to David. Right. Yahweh usually works in the ordinary events of everyday life. He regularly accomplishes his purposes and blesses his people through routine occurrences. If we learn faithfulness, every day faithful come. We are Yahweh, he will remember us. Truth contains spoken blessings. Yahweh's people have the privilege of blessing each other in Yahweh's name. Help fulfill those blessings, as Naomi and Boaz fulfilled the blessings they gave to Ruth. Naomi felt abandoned. Yahweh had not abandoned Naomi. Yahweh is trustworthy in our darkest hours. Think, oh, everything is gone. Nobody cares for us, or nobody cares about life, and nobody could help us, or we cannot sort our life predicament out. When we are in such crisis, we think, well, the next thing is grave. You don't think that way because that is not what Yahweh is thinking. In the midst of crisis, when you have your hands clean and there is crisis, if you know how Yahweh operates, that is when you should be strong. That's when you should even rejoice if you can find courage. But we are admonished to find courage in such a situation, otherwise the person may not survive it. So in such a situation, it could be turbulence, it could be affliction, it could be persecution, it could be terrible times. Yahweh is in your midst. All we need to do at that time is to, summon faith. It's going to lead us to forever. Every day and the ordinary can have taken eternal results. Ruth and Boaz's daily faithfulness in remarkable readings of external blessings that still multiply through King David and his descendants, the Yeshua Messiah. Well, it's quite interesting story of the journey of a woman who thought her life is over. She had nobody in terms of childbearing. Looking at her age, she was of age. Looking at the woman that was going back with her, she didn't know how that woman would be married by anybody amongst them in Israel, but she was a foreigner. That was most, difficult side of it. But he is the lawmaker. He is matchmaker as well. So there will be anybody, or there will be nobody. Yahweh will make somebody available. So the story starts with chapter 1. Let's look at chapter 1 and see really what transpired. Now, in this chapter 1, we have Elimelech moving with his family into Moab. That's the first part of the story. Elimelech had to leave Bethlehem, the land of Judea, or Judah, going to Moab. And the second part of the story from verses 6 to 22 is about Naomi and Ruth returning to Bethlehem. So let's look at going and returning. They're all put in chapter 1. It's going, her going, or the man's going, family, and the woman returning with the only daughter-in-law that decided to follow her. In the days when the judges ruled, I'm reading verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1, Ruth 1, verse 1. In the days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah. And when they reached Moab, they settled there. So how life was a bit comfortable in the land of Moab. So they felt okay. They settled and began to live a normal life. Then Elimelech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other a woman named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both Mahlon and Kilion died. This left Naomi alone without her two sons or her husband. Now, this is the story of how they got into the land of Moab, how the husband died, and the two sons also followed, died. And at the end, the two daughters were left. And we're going to see how, at the end of the day, the woman heard the news that things are getting better in Judah, and she planned to return back. And she began the journey. And the two daughters said, we are going to go with you. We are going to see how, at the end, Ruth offered herself to go, no matter what the situation will be. She was prepared. In this our time, somebody will say, she took a gamble. Let me take a gamble. Whether they will receive me or not. But she was coming from a Gentile world of idols. Foreigners will not tolerate, the Israelites will not tolerate idol worshippers in their land. If it was when the land was fully in worshiping Yahweh, well, they will receive her, but she has to convert. But we can see that this woman had already converted her life, had already had the conversion inside her, and made the proclamation, mother-in-law. So it wasn't whether she will convert into covenant way. He was ready to keep the covenant. Yeah. Covenant way came from the that we made them to says you must obey me. That is position in circumcision. Obedience. You must obey my word. That's what that first circumcision is all about. Circumcision on the first thing. I was looking at those who will obey him. Now, later on, then we discovered that people were just obeying by lip service. It wasn't from the heart. So the heart needed to be. That is how we have the second circumcision, which has to be fulfilled by this great son, which can deceive himself. So the story of Ruth has very physical and spiritual significance. And we must learn to understand, this kind of story or message that Yahweh is passing to us. It's a book to showcase how somebody, a family will have a troubled time. And they swim and go through that troubled time. At the end, there's a survival. That survival, that will make a way for his seed to grow. In such a situation, afflicting situation, Yahweh has something you may not know in advance. If you endure, you will see it. So it's a book that is rich in Yahweh's wisdom to let us know that no matter what we are going through in this world, provided we keep to his way, he will never forget us. And he will arise, cause us shine in the day. We should never hide ourselves away. If you never count ourselves out, like we're in the Gentile world today, people are doing all sorts of things, doing whatever pleases them, want us even to follow them. If you're not following them, they laugh at you, they mock you, they say all manner of things against you. Would it because they say all manner of things against you? Would it because they are jeering at you, because they are persecuting you, because they are afflicting you, because they are demonizing you? You want to join them so that you be like them, so that you are welcome in their midst, so that you as they look and become famous as they are famous, or become known as they are known. No. All you need to do is to behave like Naomi and Ruth. Oh, in the heart of Naomi, she felt that continue in that covenant way, no matter. She had lost all hope. And at the end of the day, the one that is leading her way, she was not seen, was acting for her. That's Yahweh. And from her entered foreigner who yielded. Why did Yahweh take a foreigner? There were many Israelite ladies that Yeshua, through Yeshua, that Boaz would have married and, control. That wasn't so. In every part of the world we live today, Yahweh is seeking for a seed. And how you will see that seed is the seed that has the have the character that Yahweh is looking for. If you look at the fruits of the Spirit, one is love. One is love. Also, faith. But without faith, you say we can't see him. Let's see Yahweh. Can't even do anything with it. Yeshua wouldn't even invite us. Reality is where we now surrender to keep whatever the law or the word of Yahweh says to us. So this woman had them in her kitty. She had them into her heart. And at the end of the day, she met a man, Boaz. That's almost the same character with her. That's why things worked out wonderfully going forward. Now let's look at Naomi and Ruth, how they returned to Bethlehem from verse 6. Then Naomi had in Moab that Yahweh had blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again. Some crops have started yielding. It in Bethlehem has started yielding its increase. So it's time to return. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law got ready to leave Moab to return to her homeland. With her two daughters-in-law, she set out from the place where she had been living, and they took the road that would lead them back to Judah. So the two daughters were following Naomi. They were going. Already they hit the road. They were going back to Judah. But on the way, Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, "Go back to your mother's homes, and may Yahweh reward you for your kindness to your husbands and to me." The husband, remember the two sons. They even despite the fact that those two gentlemen had died, those two ladies were still in the house with Naomi in Moab there. So they were still showing love to her. May Yahweh bless you with the security of another marriage. Then she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. "No," they said, "I want to go with you to your people." But Naomi replied, "Why should you go? Why should you go on with me? Can I still give birth to other sons who could grow up to be your husbands? No, my daughters, return to your parents' homes, for I am too old to marry again. And even if it were possible, and I were to get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse to marry someone else? No, of course not. My daughters, things are far more bitter for me than for you, because Yahweh himself has raised his fist against me. This is where Naomi, openly said, my life has seen bitterness. For you, somehow it's better. You are still of age. I mean, marriageable age. You can still get married. For me, look at my age. Doing this to me, he has rejected me, has left me, has abandoned me. Don't worry, go. Verse 14. And again, they wept together, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. Look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Did you see that? Orpah had gone back to her father's house, to her gods. So what are you waiting for? You should do the same. But Ruth replied, don't ask me to leave you back. You see that? Listen to what this lady, really come out from her heart. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your Yahweh will be my Yahweh. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May Yahweh punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate me and you. Listen, he held to this woman as if the woman was a man, as if she's holding to a husband. And I don't think Ruth had to do anything about this. Verse 19 or 18. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. This woman had proved her case beyond reasonable doubt. This woman has presented to Naomi that the best of arguments that she can muster. Because one said, I will not leave you. Wherever you die, I will die. Your people will be my people. Your Yahweh. When now she mentioned the Yahweh that Naomi, worshipped, Naomi had no more courage to say, leave me alone. Because this woman now is not evangelizing. She was now not evangelizing to Ruth, but Ruth was now evangelizing to her, telling her, look, that Yahweh is my Yahweh. And not even Yahweh in heaven will hear that. They will permit Naomi to have her way. Don't call me Naomi, she responded. Instead, call me Mara. Not reading. That's not supposed to be. So the two of them contributed on their journey, continued on their journey, sorry. When they came to Bethlehem, the entire town was excited by their arrival. Is it really Naomi? The woman asked. Verse 20. Don't call me Naomi, she responded. Instead, call me Mara, for the Almighty Shaddai. This is where the name of Yahweh was, that is the title of his name was mentioned. For Shaddai has made life very bitter for me. I went away full, but Yahweh has brought me home empty, still nothing hence, grief of her loss. Why call, why call me Naomi when Yahweh has caused me to suffer and the Almighty has sent such tragedy upon me? So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-law, the young Moabite woman. In late spring, we harvest. So here was both of them arriving in Bethlehem, in Judah. That was about April when they are harvesting. The stage is going to be set. It was in the heart of Naomi is how this woman left her family, left whatever she was worshiping, and tied to her. So she had no obligation. She had obligation now. She had, you know, something in her hands to do. Assignment. How would she get a husband to this woman? And who will be her husband? Must be a close relative. So she had to go into search. But Yahweh was ahead of her, was doing the search, I believe. Because what it transpired in chapter 2 tells the motion that the hand of Yahweh has commenced. In a difficult time, if we are following Yahweh, we are carried away with the difficulty and trouble unto Yahweh. We may not know when the hand of Yahweh or to rescue us in our lives. Ruth is a very powerful book. When you read it carefully, allow the Spirit to speak to you. Tell you, it's not a sweet something. It started ugliness with bitterness, but the end was sweet. That's how following Yahweh works. Because the enemy, when the enemy sees you as his fruit, as his seed, they want to attack you, pursue, watch out. Because the same crisis, the same problem, the same issues of life, you've seen, conflicts here and there. It's like life has stopped. It's, oh, why me on earth? Why am I suffering? No one has left me. Human beings have left me. It's me alone. And all that. You begin to behave like Elijah at the time when Elijah and Jezebel, when Ahab and Jezebel chased him. And he said, when he's finished, he began to run. He didn't know where he was going to until he determined to keep Yahweh. And he went to the mountain Yahweh and told Yahweh, that's the end. Kill me, let me go. There's no need for life again. As at the time in human life, you may want to say, oh, let me die. Why am I living? Why would you say so? Yes, we do say such a thing because somehow we've left some of the character or characteristics we acquired through his word. The fruits of the spirit, that is the characteristic we're supposed to put on. If it's disappeared suddenly, the joy disappears suddenly, the peace of this, because the enemy will come and attack all those. When Satan comes into you, the first thing he attacks is your peace. The next thing he attacks is your joy. Then he gets your love, peace, and throw away. So where are you standing? Begin to cry, begin to jump up, begin to tell yourself, in fact, why was I born in the first place? Like Job. It does happen. I mean, in this world we are, at times it could be terrible. You could be asking Yahweh, why did you bring me into this world? Because the enemy is stronger than us. If not by his grace, not by the grace of Yahweh, we can't make any headway. Can't make any headway. So most times it's just difficult to overcome the enemy. But the grace of Yahweh is sufficient for us. Just not so much. helps us so much to overcome bitterness that the enemy places upon us, so that he will cause us to recognize to the point that when Yahweh is stretching his hand to help us, we may not even see that happen. And people speak against him, against his word, against his truth, so they provoke Yahweh to anger, because Yahweh to even leave the person. But even in such a troublesome times, we not left us. They say, oh, when the trouble is coming, why can't Yahweh do something quickly to defend me from the problem? If he is there, that is what Satan wants. He like us to query Yahweh, like us to query Yahweh. Yahweh doesn't want that. Because when we begin to do that, is what he sees is that our faith is gone, love is gone. So he'll come, Yahweh can withdraw from such a thing. Once one sees that he is not, Yahweh has left him, or Yahweh is not doing anything, and he withdraws, Yahweh will consider that as somebody having been living without faith, hopelessness. God doesn't want, he doesn't tolerate it. Let's look at chapter 2. Uh, well, for today, yeah, and then next week we continue, finish the second and the third and the fourth. Ruth works in Boaz's field. Now, in this particular scene now, um, Yahweh is working something out for this woman to go out in the community, go out within their family, and need to do something. And Yahweh will now bring help. When we step out, Yahweh presents whatever only mind, open heart. If she had carried or gone out, she may have gone, she would have gone into a different place. And it requires focusing, focusing, moving with the spirit. That's where we want us to finish with it. Verse 1. Now, there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz. So the story of Boaz will enter from here. Who was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. One day, Moabites said to Naomi, let me go into the harvest fields to pick up the stalks of grain left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it. Naomi replied, all right, my daughter, go ahead. So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters, and as it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to Boaz, and a relative of her father-in-law, Elimelech. So Boaz is a relative of Elimelech. That's where, destiny left her to walk into this man's farm. While she was there, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. Yahweh be with you, he said. Yahweh bless you, the harvesters replied. Then Boaz asked his foreman, that is the guy in charge of the farm, who is that young woman over there? Who does she belong to? And the foreman that is headman, the headman of the farm. She is the young woman from Moab who came back with Naomi. She asked me this morning if she could gather grain behind the harvesters. She has been hard at work ever since, except for a few minutes rest in the shelter. Boaz went over and said to Ruth, listen, my daughter, stay right here with us. When you gather grain, don't go to any other fields. Stay right behind the young women working in my field. See which part of the field haven't and follow them. I have warned the young women not to treat you roughly, and when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well. Ruth fell at his feet and thanked him warmly. What have I done to deserve such kindness? He asked. I am only a foreigner. Yes, I know, Boaz replied, but I also know everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I have heard how you left your father and mother and your own land to live here among complete strangers. May Yahweh, the Yah of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done. And for her. Verse 18. I hope I continue to please you. That's what Ruth here said. She replied, you have comforted me by speaking so kindly to me, even though I am not one of your workers. At the meantime, who has called to her, come over here and help yourself to some food. You can dip your bread in the sour wine. So she sat with his harvesters, and Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. She ate all she wanted and still had some left over. When Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men, let her gather grain right among the sheaves without stopping her, and pull out some heads of barley from the bundles and drop them on purpose for her. Let her pick them up and don't give her. So Ruth gathered barley there all day. And when she beat out the grain that evening, it filled an entire basket. She carried it back into town and showed it to her mother-in-law. Ruth also gave her the roasted grain that was left over from her meal. Where did you gather all this grain? Says this Naomi. Naomi. Where did you walk? May Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh bless the one who helped you. So Ruth told her mother-in-law about the man in whose field she had worked. She said, the man I worked with today is named Boaz. May Yahweh bless him. Naomi told her brother-in-law, he is showing his kindness to us as well as to your dead husband. That man is one of your closest relatives, one of our family redeemers. Then Ruth said, what's more, Boaz even told me to come back and stay with his harvesters until the entire harvest is completed. So throughout that harvesting season, Boaz is employed her, asked her to come and work with them throughout. And somebody who had just come back, really, there's no work, there's nothing, and she was trying to look for a way to get food and all that. So that has become a place he will be working at. We have just made a way not only to eat for the women. Good. Naomi exclaimed, do as he said, my daughter, stay with his young women right through the whole harvest. You might be harassed in other fields, but you'll be safe with him. So Ruth out this that grain and of the barley harvest. Then she continued working with them through the wheat harvest in early summer, and all the while she lived with her mother-in-law. So even after the spring, he continued working with them. Was work throughout the summer period. So definitely she got a job. Definitely Yahweh has put in place for her or made a way for her to begin the process of marriage at the end of the day. So verse 3 and 4 will help us see how Yahweh really intervened in the life of this lady. Because the mother-in-law, Naomi, was like thinking, how will I sort out this lady? But she did everything in her power to prevent her, to make her or talk her over going back to the family. She refused. And she was very, very sorrowful to herself. Oh, how will I leave this woman? This woman is a good fellow. This woman has shown me kindness. This woman has done perhaps what my mother cannot do. Why not follow this woman? No, Ruth must have did certain things that made her to find her beyond what by Naomi. But Ruth saw something. So at the end of the day, that which she saw, she began to realize it, began to see it, and Yahweh began to manifest also, giving her clearer picture of good side of life, what she can gain, what she can get. Following this woman will not be in vain. I don't think it lasted a couple of months after then that this marriage began, and the necessary things were in motion. And as Yahweh will have it, she got married to Boaz, a rich man. Boaz was a rich man of this Bethlehemic community. Was a rich man and was a known fellow within the land. That was it. So Naomi, that was afraid nobody would care for her, she would die a miserable death, and all that and all that. Yahweh came on board and made her good woman again through the act of what happened between Ruth and Boaz at the end of the day. So Yahweh worked in such a mysterious way, such a way that we do not see. It doesn't tell us in advance all his promises about us. It doesn't, lay them down for us to see. Maybe issues or encounter or problems we may, experience as we walk along the way. There are certain things that Yahweh himself allow us to move. All the Bible is telling us at all times is to have faith, trust in him, because he has the key. He knows everything. For instance, if Yahweh were to tell us certain things in advance that are going to shake our mind or cause us to fear, then we might tell Yahweh, I will not go. For instance, look at Moses, the case of Moses. When Yahweh said to Moses, I have had the affliction, I've seen the affliction of my people, I've had their cry, I have come down to deliver them. They are going to go back to their land. What did Moses say? Yahweh said to Moses, go to Pharaoh to tell him that I have sent you, let my people go. Did Moses say? Yahweh said, look, Yahweh, not that I will not do that, I'm a stammerer. He was dodging, he was carefully trying and quietly wanted to walk away from that assignment. Right? Because he has seen a little of Egypt. Egypt pursued him, wanted to kill him. That's why he ran away. And they want me to return back to the place where they want to kill me. If you would tell us what awaits us, we may not even take offer if he offers us anything. But when he's sending us with everything. Did Moses go alone? No. Moses went with Yeshua all through. From that time till they entered the land of Joshua took over into the land of Canaan. In Joshua chapter 5, we saw that Yeshua came like being. Are you for us or are you against us? So if Yahweh will tell us exactly the problems we are going to encounter as he's sending us a message, you will not go. In the case of prophets, if you look at the prophets, some of them began to cry. Some of them were saying, I will not go. Jeremiah said, I will not go. I'm a child. Ezekiel said, I will not go. I'm a little boy. I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to. So we want to give Yahweh excuse. We may not do this, we may not do that. But then Yahweh knows we can do it. If he doesn't trust we can do it, he wouldn't come in the first place. He wouldn't use us. He knows who. So in the case of Ruth, Yahweh will say, Ruth, follow this woman. Follow whatever this woman will tell you. This woman may make you go back home. God has into her that courage, that strength, that faith. Oh, my Yahweh.
Pastor, you've moved from the speaker.
This thing may not have recorded so much of what I'm saying. Okay, we are done. All I was trying to explain there was that this woman is determined. She loved the woman who was. She loved her people. She showcased it when she got into the land of Bethlehem. And she was loyal to her. She was loyal to every other person at the end of the day. And she had faith in Yahweh. Yahweh determined to use it. So that is what Yahweh is telling every one of us to do. But in this Gentile world, I was reading some portion of Jeremiah this afternoon, and other places, how Judah walked away from him. How even when Judea failed, Jerusalem failed, Yahweh was telling them, the remnant that remain in the land, they are afraid, stay in this land. Babylon will not come and carry you, no matter what. But they have made up their mind, and somehow, prior to that time, they have seen Babylon in action. They have seen the people, their enemy, what they can do. So they felt that even Yahweh talking to them will not be able to deliver them from the hands of the Babylonians. You don't see the problem above Yahweh. See Yahweh above the problem. If you see Yahweh above the problem, Yahweh acts. Yahweh fights. No matter what the enemy will want to do, in fact, you will have the heart of Ruth. You have the heart of Ruth. Come what men, and with Yahweh. Come what men, Enemy will not do me anything. That is our prayers have been in this time of COVID-19, in this time of, climate nonsense talk and all those things that have been. Because you always said clearly that climate will change when you break the covenant, when you take your own way. You see climate changing. But if you come back to me, I will restore it. He is the one that he makes evil to work and he makes good to work. He is the creator of everything. He creates good, he creates evil. So why not go to the one that have the power, have the order, authority, the command, control everything, and he will take charge, no matter what is coming. If evil is coming, if trouble is coming, stay with him. If problem is overwhelming the world, stay with him. And he will, before you, this will pass, and you will stay firm. And then blessings will be yours. Because when after the wind had blown, gone, what will remain? Calm, peace. To enjoy peace, enjoy kindness that will follow. That's what he's asking us to do. So we continue in chapter 3 and 4 next week as we conclude the act of Yahweh and what Yahweh envisioned bring us Messiah. And then that follow. So you can see the turbulent time, and with this turbulent time, many will drift away, many will not stand because there's no love, there's no loyalty, there's no that faith. Only those that hold strong like roots, Yahshua will come back to take unto that man. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you, we bless you. We thank you because where there is no hope, where we think nothing works, where we think everything has been ruined, where we think there is no hope for life, yeah, there is life. If we have faith, love to you, if we are loyal to Yahshua, we are following you, if we stick to who called us, Father, we pray that our eyes be fixed onto you. We pray that our heart will be fixed onto you. Pray that our mind, our need, our wants, everything will be in thee and you alone, and not on ourselves. We don't have power to provide anything for ourselves. There is peace, whether it's joy, whether it is the goodies of life or blessings, all come from you. No man can help any man. No man can help anyone. Father, we pray for empowerment every day. Pray for your grace every day. We pray for your blessings every day. Even in turbulent time, Father, grant us grace to overcome. Grant us power to overcome. Father, stand with us at all times. As we open our mouths, fill our mouth, hear us, Father, and cause our enemy to flee from us. Do not allow enemy to get upper hands. Do not allow enemy to subdue us. Do not allow enemy to prevail against us. Put the devil to shame. Put enemies of our lives to shame. Continue to help us so that indeed you created us for your to inhabit and to eat and to rejoice in your blessings, your fullness of love, your fullness of kindness and goodness, so that, Father, what you have packaged for us, none of them will be taken away from us. And indeed, at the end, even when the trumpet will blow, pray, Father, that every one of us is stand before Yahshua, pray with you. Thank you, everlasting Father. Night, be our problem, be our shield, be our shelter, be our protection. We will sleep in thy bosom, grant us peace. Father, every arrows of the wicked, they turn them back to the enemies. We pray that we will wake up as we continue with this Sabbath. Father, we pray that we rest in thy feet. Glory be to your holy name. Yeshua's name we pray. Okay, we bless you tonight.